Be sure that you have all the necessary tools and materials on hand before beginning the construction of your pool. Not having the appropriate items on hand when they are called for can make the job much more difficult than it needs to be. Go through the hardware packs and separate the different kinds of hardware. This will make it easier to find the necessary hardware when you need it, and to help you become more familiar with the different types of hardware you will be using in the assembly of your pool. In choosing the site to assemble your pool, you want to avoid areas with steep slopes or underground obstructions. You also must be sure that the site you choose complies with all state and local codes. A transit is the easiest and most precise way to tell you how level your site is. Transits are easy to use and can be rented at most local equipment rental outlets. If you do not have access to a transit, a long straight board with a carpenter's level will do the job. To find the center point of your pool, it's easiest to measure off an existing object. Here, we use the fence. We measure from the fence and mark the ground where we want the outside of the pool wall to be. We then measure half of the width of the pool. A great tool for removing sod quickly and neatly is called a sod cutter. This is also a tool that can be rented at a local equipment rental shop, and you can be taught how to use it in a matter of minutes. Once you've pulled up the majority of the sod, you should rake the area clean. You not only want to get the remaining sod, but also any roots, rocks, or any other debris you may come across. Once the area is clear of all debris, you should check how level the area is. While doing this, you should determine where the high and low points of your site are. Dig away the high spots so that they are at the same level as the low areas. Using a rototiller to soften the ground where you are going to dig will make this task a lot easier. It is important that you dig down the high areas and do not build up the low areas. Building up the low areas will cause the pool to settle and possibly cause major problems down the road. The entire area should be within 1 inch of being perfectly level before proceeding to the next step. There are a few different kinds of bottom plates that we use. The most common is the metal bottom plate. Some pools use a resin bottom plate. Here is an example. Others will use a resin bottom cuff. Here is an example. Pictured here are a stabilizer rail, a resin bottom rail, and a metal bottom rail. Notice the bottom rails are larger than the stabilizer. The bottom rails are also straight cut on both ends, never crimped like the stabilizers are. The stabilizers have a male and female end, so they are only crimped on one side. They are also the smaller of the two kinds of rails. Once you have determined your bottom rails and bottom plates, lay them out around the site. Assemble your bottom track by sliding the bottom rail into the bottom plate up to the dimple on the plate. This is done exactly the same way for pools with resin bottom plates and rails. Resin bottom cuff pools are also done in the same fashion. You should measure the bottom track across in several locations to ensure that the or cuffs. Make sure the parts are within a ½ inch of each other. Place a patio block under each of the bottom plates or cuffs. The block should be recessed into the ground so the track is still sitting on solid ground. Make sure the block is level in all directions. You can now remove one bottom rail to cart in the sand. We recommend marking the two connecting bottom plates or cuffs before doing this to ensure that the rail is returned to the proper position after you have carted in the sand. Cart the sand or pool base into the pool area. Replace the bottom rail that you took out to allow you to cart in the sand or pool base. And using landscaping stakes with C-clamps around the pool area to help hold the wall during the installation. Begin by placing the wall into the track at the center of a bottom plate or cuff. Continue inserting the wall into the track around the pool, clamping it as you go. If the skimmer or return cutout fall over a bottom plate, you will need to move the wall and expose the wall joint to clear them. If you get to the end and the wall does not properly line up, you can pull the wall back and move the bottom rails in or out of the bottom plates to get the necessary adjustment. This should be done evenly around the pool and not just where the wall joints lie. If your pool has a single row of wall bars, they will be pre-attached with rivets. Simply line up the two sections so that the aluminum wall bars do not touch each other. Secure using the wall bolts and nuts. You must have a bolt in every hole or your pool will break. All nuts should be as tight as possible using hand tools. Cover all of the bolt heads inside of your pool using 3 layers of duct tape to protect the liner from edges of the hardware or any burrs created by the screwdriver. With a staggered wall bar system, the wall bars are not pre-attached. Line up the two sections of the wall so they are touching each other. Place one wall bar on the inside of the pool and one on the outside of the pool wall. Connect them using the wall bolts and nuts. The wall bars must not touch each other or your pool will break. All holes must have securely tightened nuts and bolts, and all hardware should be as tight as possible. Edges of the hardware or any burrs created by the screwdriver. Build a 6 to 8 inch high cove along the inside of the pool wall. Install the upright onto the bottom plates. The top of the upright can usually be determined by an extra hole in the center or on each side for the top covers. The uprights are secured to the bottom plate using number 10 screws. If your pool has bottom cuffs, there is no hardware necessary to secure the uprights. Simply line the upright into the bottom cuff and snap it down into place. When done properly, you should see all of the tabs going through the holes in the upright. Pack down the cove you have built using a tamp or trowel. Be careful not to scratch the pool wall. Smooth out the sand or pool base using a rake. Be sure to wet the sand prior to tamping it. This will help the sand pack better. Tamp the entire bottom of your pool. Doing this will help reduce footprints in the sand and provide a firm and even bottom for your pool. Unpack the liner from its box. Laying it out in the sun for a few minutes will make it easier to work with. You want to re-roll the liner in a fashion that will be easy for you to work with in the pool. Once the tamping is complete, you should lightly sweep the sand base so that you brush away any uneven lines caused during tamping. Bring the liner into the pool and spread it out evenly. Do not walk on the liner with your shoes on.